The United States Marine Corps is widely respected for upholding the highest standards of honor and discipline. But earlier this year, an investigative journalist published an explosive story about a group on Facebook called Marines United. Marines United was a den of sexism. In it, more than 30,000 current and former Marines shared photos, naked photos, of women without their consent. Many of the women in the photos were themselves Marines, colleagues of the men in the group. Many of the photos were taken without their knowledge. The Marines in this group encouraged each other to rape and stalk their women colleagues. They were unafraid of any consequences, doing this using their real names on Facebook in a group filled with tens of thousands of their peers and superiors, many of whom while still serving on active duty. They defended this behavior as something that is a fundamental part of Marine Corps culture. Many agreed with the current commander-in-chief, who once tweeted, "What do these geniuses expect when you put men and women together?" Now, this story sent shockwaves through the public. How is it possible that such open, blatant criminal behavior could take place and be so widespread in the service that we most associate with honorable conduct? But it was no surprise to me. I'm a veteran Marine Corps sergeant. I served for 6 years. I deployed to the Middle East, to Central America, and to Europe. I loved the Marine Corps. I still do. I am proud to be a Marine. But I've come to realize that something needs to change. The Marine Corps is a male-dominated institution. Only 6% of Marines are women, compared to 14% of the Army, 15% of the Navy, and 20% of the Air Force. Now, we have the fewest women, but the most sexual assaults, and it's not even close. A woman in the Marines is 2 times as likely to be sexually assaulted as a woman in the Army, and more than 3 times as likely as a woman in the Air Force. In 2015, a RAND study found that 1 in 12 women in the Marine Corps reported being sexually assaulted in the last year alone. In congressional hearings about Marines United, Senator Gillibrand of New York told the Marine Commandant that she believes that the Marines United is part of a culture that is resulting in these high levels of sexual assault. The response that I saw from my fellow Marines, who often blamed the victims, showed me that she's right. I'm a man. I can't speak about what it's like to experience sexism in the military. And countless women veterans have been speaking out for decades. Organizations like Service Women's Action Network, Protect Our Defenders, and Not in My Marine Corps have been sounding the alarm, but have remained unheard. Here's what I know and what I can speak about. I believe that the way the Marine Corps treats women is in part because of the way the Marine Corps trains men. I believe that the Marine Corps is systematically training men like me to look down on our sisters in arms. And that's what I want to change. Marine Corps Boot Camp is a transformational experience. From the moment I arrived and set foot on the yellow footprints at Parris Island, South Carolina, my drill instructors told us that they would rebuild us, that they would make us Marines by breaking us down and making us to be more confident, more fit, filled with the integrity and the values of the Marine Corps. They shaved our heads, symbolically making us shed our previous identities, and systematically worked to make us unlearn the bad habits of our previous life. In my case, a childish habit of making excuses resulted in a lot of push-ups. The drill instructors teach you the priorities of the Marine Corps as an organization by telling you stories about the culture and the heritage of Marines of the past. You memorize heroic figures from past wars to look up to and idolize. Marching in formation, something that has been tactically obsolete since the Civil War, is taught as a way of communicating to us the priority that the Marine Corps places in instant obedience to orders, attention to detail, and looking sharp while you do it. Now, I knew that the Marine Corps was going to be different from other branches. That's what I wanted. I wanted the training to be harder. I knew it would be steeped in the mythology of the Marine Corps that you see in the commercials. But Marine Corps training was different than the other branches in a way I didn't know about and didn't expect. Alone among the branches, the Marine Corps segregates recruits by gender. Men like me train in all-male platoons, taught by male drill instructors. Women are trained in all-women platoons, taught only by women and exiled to a completely different barracks. Now, we know that respect and empathy is built by working and living together. That by facing the same challenges, experiencing the same successes and failures alongside each other, you build that trust and camaraderie and see each other as individuals. Well, we built that amongst ourselves in our all-male platoon. Men and women in the Marine Corps are denied that experience with each other. In boot camp, we would overcome obstacles where there would be an easier, smaller version that our drill instructors would say is the female version, next to the male version, the harder version that we would complete. We got the distinct sense that the women who we never saw were experiencing less rigorous training. Women were only discussed as sexual objects. In the Marine Corps, women Marines are often referred to as Wookiees, like the Star Wars creature. The implication is that they're hairy and unattractive and loud. My drill instructors encouraged the recruits to create a slut wall, a bulletin board where we would post photos of our girlfriends back home. The raunchier, the better. Now, in the military, it is common for relationships to end due to the challenges, the separation, the pressure that is put on couples. So receiving what's called a Dear John letter from a partner ending a relationship is a common experience from boot camp on. And from boot camp on, the reaction to that experience created a twisted outlook towards women. When I served in my units later, it was common to receive a chain text message with a naked photo of a woman and the instructions that this was supposedly the unfaithful partner to some Marine, and that we should all take revenge by sharing it far and wide to make her famous. Is it any surprise that scandals like this keep emerging from the Marine Corps? Rising through the ranks as a young man in this environment, there was an incredible pressure to conform, to believe the stereotypes, and it was easy because we rarely encountered the women. We didn't have the opportunity to see individual women outperform me. For them, they were forced to exist defined by their gender and unable to be seen as individuals with their own strengths and weaknesses. Later in our units, me and the other men would keep the women at arm's length. We never bothered to learn female haircut standards or uniform regulations. The women were expected to police themselves. We didn't consider them fully Marines, even though we were deploying and fighting side by side. Some of the best Marines I served with are women. Natural leaders, fit, disciplined, honorable. And I saw them face constant sexual harassment and unwanted advances. I myself laughed along to the jokes about women receiving promotions and awards they supposedly didn't deserve. But I struggled to reconcile that with the reality of the professionals who served alongside me in my squad. Those women proved themselves. And I learned from them that my foundational experiences that turned me into a Marine had taught me something that wasn't true, that women don't belong. They do. The way the Marine Corps treats women is not women's problem to fix. It's mine and my fellow male Marines. Some people say these kind of cultural transformations can't be done, that it's too difficult, that bad behavior is too ingrained, that it's a problem too widespread. But I don't believe that, because the Marine Corps has been here before. In the years following Vietnam, the Marine Corps was crippled by widespread drug abuse. And we successfully fixed the culture and solved the problem. And we didn't do it by making excuses that this was just a few bad apples, or that this was a problem that society at large has, and therefore we can't do anything about it. We acknowledged the problem. We accepted responsibility for fixing it. We said that this is inconsistent with our values, and we got to work. This isn't just about equality and justice. This genuinely hurts our ability to fulfill our mission. I know firsthand that when a unit is gripped by these kind of crimes, it's impossible for us to do our job. When you break down the trust between people who have to serve side by side, lives are put at risk. And when we alienate and drive away 50% of the talent in this country, we lose out on the life-saving contributions that women can make in intelligence, in medicine, in support roles, and yes, in the infantry. We can fix this. I love the Marine Corps. I am fiercely proud to be a Marine. I love the Marine Corps like I love my country. And that means that I want its reality to live up to its ideals. We can start by treating every recruit not as a man or as a woman, but as a Marine. Thank you.